Let's dive right into this explainer. It's wild, but a massive percentage of people earning six figures are still living paycheck to paycheck. It completely shatters the myth that just working hard and getting a high income automatically leads to financial security. If you've ever felt like you're grinding away, working incredibly hard, but somehow your money just completely vanishes by the end of the month, well, you're definitely not alone. We're going to break down exactly why that happens and, more importantly, how to fix it, using some super simple, practical principles from our source text. Here's our roadmap for the analysis. We'll look at the higher income illusion, the basic laws of money, making the shift from consumer to builder, 3 steps you can start today, and finally, your overall financial transformation. Starting right off with section 1, the higher income illusion, and why more money just doesn't always help. So let's validate a frustration that honestly, so many normal, hardworking people face every single day. The paycheck hits the account, the bills immediately go out, and by the end of the month, absolutely nothing is left. It's like water slipping through your fingers. And deep down, most of us are just kind of holding out for a financial miracle, right? We tell ourselves, hey, if I just get that promotion, if I can just score that $5,000 raise, or man, when that tax refund hits, I will finally get ahead. But what happens? Year after year, the exact same pattern repeats itself. The uncomfortable truth we're unpacking today is that money problems are very rarely solved just by adding more income. And that leads us straight into the income expense trap. The myth is always, I just need a higher income to be secure. But the reality? Income alone doesn't solve the problem. Money laws do. Because without following fundamental money laws, any bump in your salary just magically leaks out into a larger, more expensive lifestyle. It's so common. You get a raise, so you get a bigger apartment, you start eating out a little more often, or you justify upgrading to the newest phone every single year. But you're literally never going to break free if your spending rises every single time your income rises. You might look incredibly successful to everyone else, but internally, the stress is exactly the same as it was before. All right, moving into section 2, the basic laws of money. These are the fundamental rules of wealth. To actually fix the leak, the text lays out 3 simple, non-magical laws of wealth. These aren't hidden secrets for Wall Street bankers. They're just basic rules for what happens to cash the second it enters your life. Step 1 flips the usual script entirely. You give first, like to God or charity based on your values. Step 2, you pay yourself by saving and investing. And step 3, you live on whatever is remaining. Think about it. Most people do the exact opposite. They pay their bills, they buy whatever they want, and then they cross their fingers and hope to save whatever happens to be left over. By intentionally giving a portion away first, you're breaking that intense psychological grip money has on you. And by paying your future self second, you literally force your current lifestyle to fit within what you can genuinely afford. This brings us to the second law, which is all about what you keep. Imagine 2 people. Person A brings in a massive paycheck, but they spend absolutely everything just to look rich. They are actually poorer and way more stressed than person B, who brings in a pretty modest average income but consistently controls their expenses and invests the difference. It's a huge mindset shift. Your financial future isn't decided by your boss or your salary, it's decided by your ability to control what you spend and grow what you keep. Which brings us to the third law. We have to save with the specific purpose of investing in assets. Now, what's an asset? It's simply something that puts money in your pocket, grows in value over time, or increases your earning ability. Saving is a fantastic habit, sure, but if your cash is just sitting there in a checking account, rising costs and inflation are just slowly eating away at its value. You aren't saving just to stare at a bigger number on a screen, you're saving to eventually buy or build something that creates future income, like a tool for a side hustle or a basic index fund. According to the source material, human behavior with money generally falls into 3 buckets: wasting, spending, and investing. Wasting is impulse buying or paying high credit card interest. You're basically setting your money on fire. Spending is the neutral, necessary stuff, like keeping the lights on, paying rent, and buying basic groceries. But investing? Investing is where the magic happens. That's building assets and upgrading skills. It's planting a seed. It's you saying, I'm going to sacrifice a tiny bit of comfort today so that tomorrow I am in a vastly stronger position. Our ultimate goal here is to eliminate the waste, strictly control the spending, and aggressively prioritize the investing. Let's head into section 3, from consumer to builder, and changing your financial identity. Because moving from spending to investing isn't just about math, right? It requires a pretty profound psychological pivot. To escape the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle, we have to stop identifying as just consumers and start viewing ourselves as active stewards and builders of wealth. A consumer looks at their paycheck and immediately asks, awesome, what can I buy with this money? But when you start identifying as a builder, your whole perspective shifts. A builder looks at that exact same paycheck and asks, what can I build or own that helps my future? You literally start looking at your income as raw material to construct a secure life. And this quote from the text hits the nail on the head. Your goal is to move from wasting to controlled spending to intentional investing. That right there is the core thesis. Once your inner identity shifts from consumer to builder, you naturally start pausing before you buy something. You ask yourself if a purchase is truly necessary, or if those funds could be building your future instead. It stops feeling like a miserable sacrifice to skip an impulse buy, and instead it starts feeling like this really exciting opportunity to build up your own assets. So how do we actually do this? Let's move to section 4. 3 steps to start today. This is where the rubber meets the road. No complicated financial jargon here, just practical actions you can apply right now. Action 1 is the 10-10-80 rule. You divide every single paycheck into 10% for giving, 10% to pay yourself through savings and investments, and then you live strictly on the remaining 80%. The very second you get paid, before you do absolutely anything else, you move those percentages. And hey, if 10% feels totally impossible for you right now because money is super tight, that's completely okay. Start with 2%. The actual math matters so much less than building the muscle memory of always giving first and paying yourself second. Action 2 is a 30-day challenge where you freeze all unnecessary spending. For 1 full month, you separate your needs, like rent, basic groceries, essential transport, and bills, from your wants, which are things like eating out, new clothes, or gadget upgrades. You commit to only paying for the needs. Whenever you feel that urge to buy a want, you just write it down on a list, but you do not pull the trigger. Now, at the end of those 30 days, you take all that unspent money from your wants list and you move it straight into your savings and investment bucket. This challenge is incredible because it breaks the habit of instant gratification, but it also reveals a shocking amount of hidden capital. You'll be amazed at how much cash you usually just let slip through your fingers on tiny everyday luxuries. By moving that newly discovered cash into savings, you've just fast-tracked your wealth building without having to make a single dime more in income. Action 3 forces you to actually do something with those savings. The goal here is to cross the line from just being a saver to becoming an investor. So within 90 days, you choose one simple asset to invest in. It absolutely doesn't have to be a rental property or thousands of dollars in the stock market. Your first asset could literally just be a $50 online course that teaches you a new skill to increase your earning power, or maybe a beginner-friendly financial product you actually understand. The key is to learn, improve, and make sure your money is actively working for you rather than just sitting there doing nothing. Finally, let's wrap up with Section 5, your financial transformation, and looking at the bigger picture. As you start executing these daily stops, the source text warns us about some common traps to avoid. The biggest one, borrowing money for non-essentials. Using credit cards for things you just want, or upgrading your lifestyle solely to look rich to other people is a massive trap. It instantly kills your ability to invest. Do not go into debt for things that drop in value the second you buy them. And also, don't just sit around waiting for some sudden financial miracle without putting in the work. True wealth is about actual security, not wearing expensive brands while quietly panicking about credit card bills behind closed doors. Because ultimately, this explainer isn't about worshiping money or just hoarding cash. It's about gaining the stability to handle emergencies, the usefulness to support causes you care about, and finding true freedom from fear. When you have a solid emergency fund and growing assets, you just sleep better at night. You aren't operating out of panic. You suddenly have the bandwidth to help out your family, support your community, and actually choose work that brings you joy. And really, that is the true power of getting your money right. So I want to leave you with this question from the author to chew on. What part of this feels hardest for you right now? Is it setting aside that first 10%? Is it cutting out the unnecessary spending? Or is it taking the leap and choosing your first asset to invest in? Reflect on that, choose to be a builder, and start your transformation today. It definitely won't happen overnight, but taking small, consistent actions based on these basic laws will completely rewrite your financial story. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer, and we'll see you next time.